Peace World's MREC for MreckTV. Be doing this exclusive interview with Ajtiim Lee and Kontra Versi TV. We here in B-More. But you know what? Since we doing this Giants vs. Ravens edition, gotta switch it up. Gotta get in full Giants mode. Let's get it.
You can see the breaks in the stadium. That's what they're looking at on a golf course. The difference is on a real golf course, their green is like a marble floor. You practicing memory. You're doing all these things like basketball. Crossover, go left, go right, spin, see that man out the corner. That's what you're doing right now. You do all of that, and then you come down. Putt again, bro. Put that line through that line. Come on, get it in there. My man.
So my brother, introduce yourself to the peoples.
My name is Ajtiim Lee. I'm what I like to call a serial entrepreneur, a spiritual warrior, and what they call a change agent. I'm just a person that's hell-bent on, making things right, and I thank God is using me as an intercessor. Not easy, but sometimes, man, you just got to step up with no fear,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. For those who don't know who is Ajtiim Lee, give them a backstory.
So I was born in Richmond, Virginia, raised in Baltimore. That creates an interesting dynamic. I'm a very trusting person. I'm a loving person. But when you grow up in places like East Baltimore, you learn to move with a lot of caution. So I'm more of a composite of a number of people that I've spent time with. My business mentor and entrepreneur coach, which was Ray Haysbert Sr. Those guys created Park Sausage. I have been under the tutelage of P.M. Smith, my former pastor, Bob DeShields. Every basketball coach I had, I played for Cecil Kirk, where people like Sam Cassell, Shante Rogers, Kevin Norris came from. I went to Baltimore City College High School, so I came through, more of a farming system of preparing you to go to college, become an attorney. I got into the electrical world. I was in the gifted and talented program called GATE growing up. So everything from acting in plays, playing sports, being a musician, I have what they call hand talent. And I'm pretty much capable of doing most things I put my mind to. But at the end of the day, like I said, I'm a composite. I try to humble myself and truly be grateful for the influence that I've had from a number of people. So that's who I am.
No doubt. So what inspired you to start Kontra Versi TV? And what's the vision behind it?
So Kontra Versi is a phonetic spelling for the word controversy. I originally thought of Iran-Contra scandal. That's where I got the KNTRA from, the thing with Ollie North. And then I just wanted to do something a little slick, Baltimore, New York, we got the swag. So I did the little Italian thing with the VERSI, the Vatici, But ultimately, it's just a phonetic spelling play on the word controversy. When I was younger in high school, I worked in the textile industry with a company called Merlin Screen Printers.
Gotcha.
And I learned to mix ink, do silk screen print, embroidery. At that time, me and my partner, Larry Brown, we created a line called Be More. Acronymic expression, BMORE, being more optimistic and righteously endowed. At that time, we had O'Malley as a mayor, and there was a campaign for a city that reads. You would see the benches on a bus stop, right? And they would say city that reads. And I thought it was a joke. The irony was that we were bleeding, right? There was a lot of organized crime happening. People were selling drugs, murdering, you name it, right? So I didn't see that as something positive. I saw it as somewhat a hemorrhaging, of the culture and the society. So when we created Be More, being more optimistic and righteously endowed, it actually was the same energy as controversy. I thought controversy had a negative connotation, and I even have some people who, question me about that now. But looking at the irony of how we grew up in our community, we're always perceived as negative until somebody is willing to look at you and see the positive.
Correct.
And looking at where we are today with the latest election results, with affirmative action being struck down, with some of the things that are going on in society that people aren't speaking on, it's time to embrace and learn how to navigate controversy. So the actual energy behind the campaign is to embrace your challenge, right? And learn how to navigate or diffuse it. So we highlight the controversy and then we figure out how we're going to work through it, over it, under it, around it.
Correct. What's one thing about your story that people need to know?
That this is a testimony. This is not a woe is me story. I am actually thankful and grateful that God has used me similar to Job. I'm going to, in our venture, share a number of personal stories, also highlight stories of friends, colleagues. We're looking to go into stories of people around the country, right? Sharing your similar experiences. But ultimately, it's a testimony of what God will save you from, what he will guide you through. I've made a number of mistakes in life. I have been a flawed man many times. And the testimony is that I'm still here. So this is a testimony.
No doubt. You being a CEO / barber / dad, how do you balance all the three?
To be honest with you, I learn from my mistakes. I consult a number of people, entities. I try to practice the things that work. There's a cliche in life. People say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Correct.
So I reverse engineer that thought process. If I want the same result and this act or action is yielding that, then I repeat that. So what I do is I look back in my life as well as have conversation with other people who are further along on this road. And I just try to do what we call chew up the meat and spit out the bones.
I like that answer. What's the story behind your passion for barbering and how does it connect with the community?
So barbering is actually my first love. As a young kid, my mother couldn't afford to send me and my brother to the barbershop. So she had this thing where she said, she bought me some clippers. She said, you cut your brother's hair and you take this roll of quarters and you go get your hair cut, right? And the funniest thing, my brother's here, but, he had this big head of curly locks, right?
Wow.
And I had to learn how to blend very fine and dark hair, where I would go to the barbershop and they would just color my stuff off, one against the grain, no shape up, right?
Damn.
So in that experience, I was actually learning to beautify and to highlight people's features. And I think that all just goes along with my hand talent.
Wow.
It's like when I cut hair, I draw, right? So before I even start, I look at your cheekbones, I look at your nose structure, I look at your lip structure, your eye structure, I look at what's even, what's not even. So I do this whole assessment, and then I create these points that I want to connect and make things straight. And then I take the time to make sure your blend is hitting at the right point, the right angle. And ultimately what I'm looking for is for people to get up and feel good about themselves. So when we talk about being a CEO, Chief Executive Officer, a lot of people think about the money. What I think about is the execution. So I look at all of my business endeavors the same as I do a haircut. Customer satisfaction first, even if it's contract negotiation, right? I believe in a win-win scenario, right? I believe in a quid pro quo. Talk about Latin from City College. We learned that the best scenario is where both people win. I'm not a shark, right? So the barbering kind of gave me that foundation of wanting my client or the person on the other end of this deal to feel good about what they walk away from. And I've taken that mindset from a marketing perspective into every other business I've done, whether it was Wright Electric with my electrical company, whether it's Mama Claudette's, all the smoke pit and grill when I do my food, whether it's the clothing lines. Even when I was driving tractor trailer, I had ADL transportation.
Wow.
What I focused on was understanding how you acquire loads. And what I found is that was built on relationships. So again, coming back to being a barber, think about what you do as a barber. You sit one-on-one with the person. You talk with them about what they desire. And most times when people take their hat off, they have deficiencies, right, that you have to enhance to bring out the best in them so that they walk away feeling great about themselves.
I got a question on the barbering tip. Now, we in 2024. Before the lockdown happened, the prices was different. Some people right now charging anywhere from $100 to $500 a haircut. What's your prices?
So I'm $150 to sit in my chair. And I'm that barber, right? I'm not by choice. I'm not the barber for people who can't afford to pay certain pricing, right? I make my money in hair and I give back in other ways, right? So what I offer is more of a full health treatment, right? So we treat the skin, we treat the hair, we treat the body. I have a product line that I created that's all organic. The barber world today is kind of, being extorted in that you may have a barber who's not of a certain level and he's just charging more because people are doing it. He can get, a crispy end result. He can spray you up with dye and all of that. But what I try to do is focus on the Beijing. They even got the, the gun now where you spray people. But there's a natural dye that you can buy, right? There are natural products with vitamin E. I use a lot of eucalyptus, mint. I have an actual white label service that creates the product. So what I focus on is treating people who want that individual time where they want a relaxation session. It's less about the haircut and it's more about rejuvenating the full body. So when I look at the pricing, the value has to be there. You can't just tell somebody you owe me $150 because I'm nice, right? It's all the other stuff, not just a hot towel. It's the rose water in the hot towel, right? Not just one towel or the hot towel itself, but in my business, everybody has their own individual towel. I don't use anything twice, right? There's so much that's loaded into it, as well as you choose your services. I don't just charge you a price. When you go into my website, you choose those services. So ultimately a client or somebody that falls in my demographic, they choose what they're going to pay before they show up.
Wow. Because, you got a lot of people online, like the most I'm paying for a cut is $50, if that.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'll cut somebody who only wants to pay that, but I'm more set up for the executive, the CEO.
Gotcha.
Somebody who is making $200,000 to $300,000 a year, where their discretionary income is higher.
Understand. Get your money. Earlier, you had a chance to show me how to putt a little bit in golf and all that.
Yeah.
Where those skills come from, man? Where that passion come from with golf?
Pain. I am I'm a Tupac baby. And I grew up with a lot of frustration, pain. At a younger age, I didn't recognize it as that. We all just had this attitude, I mean? We go hard and all of this, but as I got older, I started to recognize that pain is what causes you to create more pain in your life. You commit physically violent acts or you break law because you have this I don't give a F attitude, which in most of our communities in cities like Baltimore, Detroit, Chicago, New York, right? You're taught to be rebellious before you're taught to conform for a positive reason.
Correct.
So what I did with golf, actually, I moved to Las Vegas, Nevada. Again, I'm a union electrician, so I traveled into a sister jurisdiction, and I moved on to a golf course, which at that time, it was just to get the girls. I figured if I take you out on this golf course, I'm already a ladies' man, but if I take you out on this golf course, I'm definitely going to get the panties, right? So I'm just being real. But
salute.
I didn't. You want to salute on that? I mean, why? Salute to the rec mob, man.
Salute to the rec mob.
So, the reality was I didn't know what I was getting myself into. My landlord would come and his father was a former professional golfer. So in the garage, we living in like this bungalow style house on the course. We on the 8th hole. We was literally sitting on the hole with we got a big day room glass window where we're sitting there and people ride by. And when he would come, he would pull out some clubs. I mean, I literally probably had 200 clubs in my garage.
Wow.
If I had them now, I would have took them, right? Or asked him to buy them. But he would come out and we would drink a little Patron. That's when Patron first hit. And he would, hit balls. And me being me, athlete, love a challenge, loving to grow. I get up there and all the guys laughing and I learned how to swing the club. He told me, and this is some insight for anybody who wants to learn golf. You swing a club like a water hose. I'll come back to that. But he taught me to swing, and I would swing when he wasn't there. And one day I made clean contact and the ball went clear across the daggone golf course.
Damn.
And in that moment I realized like, yo, I could do this. So I started taking lessons and I fell in love with the game. I fell in love with the required mental focus, the muscle memory. And then later in life, as I matured, I saw that as a way to practice some level of mental health. How does it become mental health? Because in life, when you're dealing with certain situations, you got to learn how to ignore them.
Correct.
Right? In golf, you hit a bad shot, you got to ignore that shot and you got to set yourself up to hit a better shot, right? So you go through all of your preparation techniques, you go through all of your assessment techniques, and then you give it your best shot. So not only did I fall in love with the game, but I found a way to release my pain, which is into that ball and into the hole.
That's dope. That's ill. The Ravens and the Giants go at it today. What's the prediction for the game, man?
Lamar, baby, what you mean? What's the prediction?
Come on, man. Come on, stop playing.
What's y'all quarterback name?
Listen. Yeah.
Don't matter.
Listen.
My prediction, honestly, for the day is I'm predicting that the Ravens will win, but realistically, I'm looking at the development in the areas where we're having trouble. So we got to complete passes. Our D-backs have to do a better job. The offensive line, shout out to the offensive line. Our offensive line has been doing great, but I think our coaches need to do a better job at calling the right plays at the right time. And if we do that, we definitely will beat you. But if we don't do that, my man Lamar gonna run it up on y'all.
Nah, he definitely special. I salute to Lamar Jackson.
And all jokes aside, shout out to the Giants, shout out to New York. I got family there. There's nothing but respect between me and my brother.
No doubt.
Just friendly competition.
Let's get back to the Ravens versus the Giants. Seemed like you got a lot of passion for the Ravens and all that. Where'd that come from?
I love my city. So I was raised primarily on the east side, right off of 33rd Street where Memorial Stadium used to be. So, I mean, as a kid, I could hear the announcements of the game. It was always my mother going, nuts when they would say, now batting, number 33, 3, Eddie,
Wow.
Mary. My mother was screaming, yeah, Eddie!
So, you should hear that from the house?
Yeah, because Memorial Stadium is literally so close to where I used to live that you could hear the announcements. And even
crazy.
Seventh inning stretch, they used to let you in the game free. So as kids, we would go into the stadium in the seventh inning and watch the rest of the game. They used to park cars in our neighborhood, right? We grew up in a neighborhood that was relatively underprivileged. You can make a month's salary in one day just by them parking cars, $10 to park their cars, all in the alley. They would park. So I went to Baltimore City High School, right? Baltimore City College High School. That was across the street from Memorial Stadium. We would park cars. You can't do it now because they fenced everything in, but the football field used to be open. We would park cars on the football fields.
Say word.
Yeah, so when I say I have a true passion and love for the city, it's because, my mother worked for the mayor, right? And I say that the mayor, I mean the office of the mayor, not the actual mayor himself. My mother worked in treasury management, so I have a deep love and passion for Baltimore, but then football, right? I grew up playing football. I lost one game my whole childhood Pop Warner experience. So I love the game, right? I evolved as a man in the game, right? So I don't look at the game just as somebody throwing the ball around. I look at that as like a a transition. You know what I mean? So when I'm watching NFL players, I'm looking at them at the highest level of where I one day hoped I could be, and I respect that. And then, you know, I just love to give somebody pain sometimes.
Got you. But what made you transition from, I guess, shooting to go to the league to doing what you do now?
I realized I wasn't that talented. Just being completely honest, right? When we talk about embracing controversy, one of the problems is people don't want to be honest with themselves. Now, I'm not saying I don't have confidence in myself, but I played with guys who were more talented than I was, right? Even in my younger years, while I was a good player, I wasn't a top player. And I saw guys that were more talented than I was go to college, play D1, and still not make it. For example, my high school football team went 24-0 2 years in a row, and the star quarterback was a friend of mine named Terrence Suber. Terrence Suber left City College, went to Wake Forest, went from being a quarterback to being a D-back, getting his shoulder broke, and saying, I don't want to play no more.
Wow.
And when I talked to T, I'm like, T, what happened? He said, man, that's a different level. Them boys bigger, faster, stronger. So even with basketball, right? I think what happens as an athlete, when you're in your private space, you tell yourself you want to go pro, or you can. But once you get into those camps and you're playing against pro talent, if you're honest, you can gauge where you fall versus somebody else.
Got you.
And I'm just honest with myself, I didn't have pro level talent.
No doubt. That's real, though. It's for us. I want to touch on something that's on the landscape currently. What's your thoughts on these Jay-Z rape accusations, allegedly, of course, and then also the current update where the accuser said she has some inconsistencies in her story?
So I'm gonna say this first about Jay-Z, Sean Carter as a man. It's not my job, nor do I know enough about him to say that I think things are true or false. But my thoughts in general about what's going on with him is, I think that in our pursuit for success, we can overrun our goal and we can kind of forget the reason that we got into the business or we're pursuing a goal. So again, I don't know what people are saying is true or false, but I think that this brother needs to step back and do an assessment of his life. You know, I always lean on prayer and meditation. But if it's true, it's a tragedy, you know, because here we go again with, you know, again, regardless of what you think of him, he's one of our icons, right?
Correct.
So here we go with another icon potentially, you know, falling to a place where he's a disgrace.
Damn.
And for me, being a Tupac fan, and I said this, you know, previously in an interview, when I first saw and heard Jay-Z, I didn't like him because of, you know, who Tupac was and what their relationship was promoted to be. But I fell in love with his music, you know. I fell in love with, you know, the messaging. When I listened to the 444 album and they got the OJ song, you know, I remember riding down Las Vegas Boulevard the weekend of the Mayweather-McGregor fight, and I was listening to it. And I thought to myself, you know, this brother has a great insight to the controversy that we deal with in his life. So again, if we witness him being taken down and discredited, you know, my concern is now someone who had the influence of a Martin, Malcolm, has now been belittled to, you know, a convict or, you know, an SA trafficker or whatever the charges are. But I think, you know, it's potentially a tragedy to our community. And I think we need to be careful about casting judgment because, you know, there were guys in high school who graduated high school and were now 18, 19, 20 years old and was coming back to pick up young ladies at 16 and 17. Correct. Is that considered statutory rape? Absolutely.
Yes.
But in the context, right, which again, in his scenario, I don't know details, you know, but, you know, I'm just praying for that brother and I'm hoping that, you know, one way or another that everything comes out to be on the up and up.
No doubt. And we're gonna end it off with this, man. So for the near future, what could the people expect from you and Kontra Versi TV?
So what you can expect from Ajtiim Lee and Kontra Versi TV is we are looking for your stories. Most people in life have experienced controversy. Most people in life has been a victim of fear, bullying, extortion. You know, we have people that have been in and out of prison who think that their experiences are unique to, you know, their legal life or the prison life. But the same things go on college campuses. The same things go on in corporate work environments where people use fear, they use bullying techniques, they take advantage of people who can't defend themselves. So what Kontra Versi TV is here to do is to highlight those stories. I look forward to continue to build my relationship with you, my brother,
course,
as a mentor.
my brother.
And again,
Likewise.
Salute to the Rec Mob. And we're here to tell your story. No fear, embrace your controversy, find solutions, and we're going to get this thing back on track. Restoration.
Yes, sir. Salute. Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you.
Sure.
All right. Peace, world's MREC for MreckTV. Make sure y'all subscribe to the YouTube as well as follow the Instagram. You see the spelling MRECK TV. That's on everything, all social media. And I'm gone. Thank you.
Next time on Kontra Versi TV. 1, 2, camera 1, camera 2.
But it's a diversionary tactic, right? You are allowed to be angry when someone does some shit to you that warrants anger. But if we're talking about, wait a minute, and me being an angry black man, we're not talking about what they did.
And as a black man, how do I not express myself passionately, right? Whether it's a face scour.
You're allowed to be angry.
But
You're allowed. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so it happened in 2005, 2007, 2015, 2016, 2018, and now we know 2011, 2013, 2014, and every time it's the same. Yeah, it's